Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very interesting review impressions of a knife that White Mountain Knives allowed me to take a look at and lent to me, and I got to send back to them here really quick on Monday. But this is the cool Mad Tanto. This is a design by Damn Designs. That's the name of the company. They designed this knife. It's called a Mad Tanto, and you'll see in a second why it's called a Mad Tanto, because it has this great Tanto shape, beautiful hollow grind. I mean, just really wonderful. So that is the manufacturer. Obviously, it's Kizer. Kizer is the maker of this knife. So really great job on this. Beautiful coating on this one. I think this is a PVD or PVD or DLC coating. I think, is it a DLC or is it PVD? Does it say? I don't know if it says. It looks to me a little bit like DLC, but it's probably a, I don't know, maybe it's just painted. I don't know, but it is nice. It's done well. And this hollow grind is really thin and slicey. So 154 cm blade steel. I believe this is not the CPM, but this is regular 154. It is a button lock. And what I love about this particular one, this and like the Lieb M, it uses the multi-row cage ceramic ball bearings. I know that from somebody else, another review I saw, but I can't take this apart because this is a knife that'll go back into his cell. I didn't do anything with this except for open it, flick it, feel it. I haven't cut anything. I haven't taken it apart. I haven't done anything at all to it. I've just had the sheer pleasure of being able to deploy it and close it and feel it in my hand to see how that feels and feel the, the finger choil and all that good stuff. But man, that edge is nice and sharp. It's got a beautiful tip. I don't know if you saw that right there. So this steel, nice thinness, 154 cm. This is a black micarta. I love this. Feels like a linen or a burlap sort of micarta. Really, really nice, soft, very materially in the sense, not like the resin and the whatever is totally covering it. So it's got a nice texture to it, and I think it'll patina well if you use this knife a lot. Like I said, I haven't used this. My hands are clean, but after a while with finger oils, I think it'll patina up really beautifully. I think people will enjoy that. I love the clip. It's kind of got a little sort of a buffed out finish to it, so it looks like a little polished on the sides, which fits well with the micarta. So I suspect that was done intentionally just to kind of make it look like a little polished, with that same kind of coating on here. It looks almost like it's stonewash though. That looks like a stonewash black coating on there. But this is not. This is polished. This is beautiful. This reminds me like of a DLC, polished DLC that I see on a Microtech Annex, or like the Dark Horse that I think Metal Complex calls his Rick Hinder one, the black one. I think Rick Hinder does a black DLC coating that's really gorgeous as well. It's polished. The flipper is got some nice jimping on there, and it does have that. So this works well as a push button and as a light switch. Both work really well. Of course, the button lock, you can also disengage and open it with the button lock, and you can do that both left-handed and obviously right-handed. I mean left-handed as well. Now the clip is right hand only. It's not left hand, so right hand tip up only is the carry. I think that's a miss. I wish they'd consider maybe just a little cutout, or maybe not necessarily having to make this, a cutout into the scale. Maybe lay on top of the scale, and you still have recessed screws, right? Just a little longer screws still recessed into the clip, and make this little part just a little wider. This fits in the pocket fairly nicely. This material is nice and soft. As it patinas, it'll probably be a little smoother going in and out of pocket, but it did have some texture, so I could feel it in and out of the pocket. The clip is pretty strong. It's a steel clip. This is not a titanium clip. I will show you that. So there's that. Now, looking on the inside of the knife, there are steel liners. This is the micarta goes over these steel liners, and there's some beautiful weight relief in there. Let me go. Oops, I just dropped my flashlight. Sorry about that. Let me get that again. All right. Ooh, hopefully that wasn't too loud, but you can see that nice cutouts there for weight relief on the scales. I think that's really nice, and it's both sides, so that definitely relieves some weight onto the knife, makes this a lot lighter than I think it could have been, right? Now I would want to, I wanted to, right here came in beautifully centered. I think after a little bit of use, it might have loosened up. I don't want to do anything, putting a Loctite or do anything and tighten this up. I'm gonna let Justin there at White Mountain Knives know, because this is a brand new knife. I don't want to mess with it, and if he wants to tighten it or whatever, I'll let him do that. But I want to return it exactly as is. All I've done is this and this. That's it. And that's all I've done. And I haven't done a whole lot of that. Just got a chance to feel it in hand, and I really appreciate that. I like it. I do like it. And I think it's definitely a really nice knife. Now, we're looking at a knife that's going to cost about $81. And if you use my coupon code RNK10, you get 10% off. Definitely consider that. An $81 knife, I believe, will end up costing, let's see, I'll use my calculator real quick. I think if you take the 10% off, it'll be like a $73 knife, $72.90. So that's a good price knife, I think, for what you're getting. 154 cm steel, great steel, nice big handle. It's definitely not super small. We'll take some measurements here in a second. micarta is really nice and soft all the way around the edges. It does, I mean, there are edges there, but this is micarta, so it's soft, and it'll patina and wear in nicely on those edges. They won't be very sharp and bitey. The clip is nice and round, so everything will be very comfortable, I think. This here is not super sharp at the top of the blade. Now the tip is pretty thin. I was gonna say it's 0.13, 0.12 inches, and it comes to a very thin tip. You can see that right there, very thin tip, which is gonna be great for getting into mulch, fertilizer, dog food, cat food, cases of water. I think you're really going to enjoy that. And the the Dam Designs, if you notice, they have a typical, the hexagon screw for their pivot. This is the captive pivot here, and then this is comes in over here. Now let's go ahead and measure the screws there. I believe they're all T8s. This is a T8 right there. Okay, so let's see. We have T8 there. Are these T8s? I think these might be T6s. Yeah. And let's see, is this a T8? Yeah, T8 there. So T8 there, T8 there. So 2 screws, T8. And of course, we do have, and this is the T6 right there. We do have the pocket carry clips, and those are going to be, yeah, T6s, okay? So T6s. So you'll need a T6 and a T8, which is fine. I mean, typically, I think this knife could be taken apart with just this screw and that screw. You don't need to take the clips off. I mean, it'll stay attached probably to the back spacer, which is, by the way, black lead in micarta as well, which is nice, right? So that is really cool. Really nice action. Drops really well. When it drops, it doesn't bounce. I mean, if you leave it disengaged, any butt mark is going to bounce. But if you release it and then like that beforehand, it's got enough tension on that plunge lock to really grab the blade so it doesn't bounce out of it. And that's a nice click going into that plunge lock. It sounds like a detent, right? Plunge lock, there's 2 parts of the plunge lock. When it locks the blade out and then when it closes in. And when it closes in, it acts a lot like a detent. It kind of fits into a little place that you can overcome, but it holds it in place and sounds like a detent, like this. But it can be overcome just like a detent, so you can flick it, and enough tension to do that. And most of that tension occurs from the spring that's inside the button itself. There's a spring that pushes the plunge lock into either the back part of the blade where it keeps it open, but it can be overcome, or the open place where it's literally engaged. This part in here, and let's get back to the flashlight again. You see this part right here is engaged on the tang of the blade. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get a little closer. So the tang of the blade right here, and it looks like it's a good 30-40% engaged on that tang of the blade. And that's that part of the plunge lock right there. That is what locks it in place. Now, with anything with a plunge lock, could this be a hard use? Yeah, it can be, relatively speaking, but remember, plunge locks are never going to be great for whacking and cutting logs and stuff like that. People always want to do the spine whack test, and I'm not going to do it. This is not my knife. But any plunge lock, you have the right consistency, the speed, the way you do it, you create the right vibrations. What's going to happen is there's pressure, the lock it's pushing against is like this, and so this angle is going to want to push the lock up, and what keeps it not going up is the spring pushes it down. And if you have enough vibration, you could theoretically get it to slide up where the spring force coming down is not going to be consistent to hold it down from the vibration of pushing it up with the bouncing off the table. So that's what happens when people do these spine tests. You could do it here, 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 whatever. You get the right angle, you can almost overcome any plunge lock, just like a liner lock could be overcome with the right angle pushing it, right? So if you hold a knife and it had a liner lock and you were to push it left-handed out, you can disengage the liner lock or frame lock, which would be crazy, but that could be done, right? And suddenly you're in a situation where you disengage a knife. You've just got to know the physics and the intent of the design. It is a wonderful design for what it does, and I think it does it well. So, button lock, beautiful flipper, you know, all that stuff, beautiful grips, nice handle, nice size. Let's measure this real quick, okay? So let's get into the measurements of the knife. All right, ounces, let's see what we got. So we're at 4.02 ounces, 4.02 ounces, or 4.03 ounces. Not bad for a knife with steel liners. They've been milled out really nicely, 4.03 ounces, you know, and it's a pretty large knife. So let's get into the length of this knife here. Put my little torque screws away here. All right, so we're looking at this right here, and we're looking at a knife that is going to be about, I want to say, from tip to the very back. I mean, if you look at the handle, we're right at 8 inches, right? If you look at the pocket carry clip, because that pocket carry clip allows you to be very deep carry, we're about 8 1/16 or 8 1/8 of an inch, right? For handle-wise, where your hands would fit in, you've got about 3.3 and I want to say 7/8 of an inch. For handle, if you use the finger choil, that gives you almost 5 full inches of hand grip length to really, you know, to have a great presentation, or, you know, for that knife. You can really get a good solid grip on there. Now, let's go ahead and measure the blade. If we go from the tip to the top of the handle, we're right at 3 1/4 inches. Total cutting length, if we're going to go from the tip all the way to there, we're looking at, I want to say, 3 1/8 inches, right? So it's definitely over 3 inches. And if you're, you know, depending on your state, if it's from the tip to the handle, you're definitely over 3 inches. So you got to keep that in mind as far as that is concerned. But it is a beautiful compound grind, hollow here, flat up here, which allows you, you know, certain functionality, certain features. Be a really nice slicer because of that. All right, let's look at the blade stock thickness real quick and get a feel of that. All right, let's see what we're at. Yeah, so we're right at 133 thousandths of an inch, or 0.133, 1.134 inches. So it's not super thin, but it's not super thick. It's a good size blade, the spine-wise. Now it comes out super thin back here, so that's nice. So some good measurements, I think. Okay, so this is definitely in the budget category. It's definitely less than $100. If you don't use the RNK10 and don't buy it from White Mountain Knives, it's $81 knife about. That's definitely under $100, and I think it's a good buy for 154 steel, a button lock, multi-row cage bearings, a nice micarta handle. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's a great design. I mean, just really nice. Definitely going to recommend this. I mean, just give you a hint before we get to the bottom. Yeah, I'm going to like it. But let's talk a little bit about EDC use. As with any button lock, I like button locks, and I think there's a lot of button locks out there that are great. But, you know, again, button locks are not going to be your hard use knife. I have a few button locks. I don't have a ton of them, but I do have a few button locks that I like. I have a Pirate. I have an Exiton. I have a Result. I have some other ones. Well, I have a Quibbit right now. I have some other ones that I can't think of off the top of my head. Sorry, but I do have several that I enjoy. And but you know, I like liner locks, and I like frame locks most. Those are my cup of tea knives. I do like shark locks and some of those things. Those are cool, but I don't, you know, to get the one I want, you know, they're kind of too big. I would love to get a USA-made smaller one than the actual 80-20. I'd like something like, I would love a USA version that's like an 80-20.5, but USA-made, that would be cool. But anyways, yeah, so we're definitely in the budget realm. EDC use, hard use, yeah, you could hard use, but I mean, again, I wouldn't go whacking woods and logs and stuff like that. That's not what a button lock is intended for. And this is a very comfortable, good use. I mean, I would use it in a you know, opening, breaking down boxes, cutting cardboard, cutting mulch, you know, bags and fertilizer and dog food, cat food, cases of plastic, you know, the cases of bottled water and then cutting the plastic off. Lots of things you can use this for. Letters, envelopes, packages, Amazon, Christmas, whatever. Really nice, right? So I do like that. And I think that would make it like semi-hard use, but not hard use like, you know, I'm going to go whack and hit the back of the blade to cut logs. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that with any button lock. I wouldn't do that with a frame lock or liner lock. I would recommend a fixed blade or an axe at that, right? That would be my recommendation. Okay, is it a collection piece? Well, if you like Kizer and you collect Kizer, yeah, it's a collection piece. Anything can be a collection piece, but is it up there in the sense of those really nice, fancy collection? No, it's not. It's definitely a budget knife. So to me, a budget knife is really not a collection piece. It's just a nice piece to have in your collection, right? It's not one of those collection, special place up on the wall kind of pieces. It's cool, definitely, but that's, that's it. But you can collect whatever you want. It's your collection, your knives that you collect. You collect whatever you want, right? Design. I like the design. I like the micarta. I like it's rounded enough. It's soft enough. I think it's going to break in really well. I like the button lock. The button lock works well. The flipper works well, especially the push button gives you a nice flick for a pretty long blade. I like the fact that, I can use the button lock as well, just like as with anything. So that's kind of cool. The closing design, obviously button locks are great. It does close without bouncing. I mean, if you keep it button depressed, yeah, it's going to bounce, but that's true of any button lock. But if you let it go, it locks it in there. It catches it. It doesn't bounce out again. So that's nice. I think that's really cool. So the design overall is really nice. It's comfortable. I think I love the finger choil. I love that. It's got some nice jimping on top. Deep pocket carry clip. I think we talked a little bit about that. Definitely going to be super deep, very hidden. The black micarta will patina really beautifully once you use it and get your oils on there. Right now, I'm just touching it and use with clean hands because I'm going to return this, right? Fidget factor on this. The scale on the fidget factor on this knife is absolutely going to be, I like the button lock, I like the flipper. So you're going to give me, I'm going to certainly give this a good solid 6. Yeah, a 6. I think it's definitely a 6. There's no other deployment. The button lock works well. Oops, let me do it right. And the flipper works well. So I like that. It's definitely executes well. So fidgety goodness as far as that. Are there other button locks that are better? Yeah, even the Civivi Quibbit, but certainly my Wii Exciton is much nicer. My exclusive Pyrite is much nicer. So yeah, so I will give this like an 85, maybe a 90 out of the fidgety goodness. That means out of that 6 out of 10 that it could be as far as fidget factor, how well does it execute that 6 out of 10? I'm going to give it, like I said, an 85, maybe 90. I don't know, 85, 90. I think that would be fair. That's my gut feel for what I like as far as fidgety goodness. I mean, it's not a strong A. It's not a strong 100. It's probably a good B, solid B, an 85. Yeah, I'd say that's where I would end up on there. Now, as far as overall thoughts, I like the knife. I like it a lot. I mean, this is not my possession. It's not my knife. I haven't got a chance to do a whole lot with it. I would probably put in Skiff washers. I have some multi-row bearings I would put in there in a heartbeat. I would probably clean it out. I would probably, I would definitely tighten it up and do some different things to it. I would obviously patina the oil a little, probably get this nice, beautiful lid in my micarta nice and patinaed in with all the oils and stuff. So I think that would make it look a little nicer and feel different. So, definitely a lot of things about it, but I'm definitely going to recommend this knife. I think it's really nice. It's great fit, great comfort. There's no hot spots, like I said, really comfortable use. It feels like it's going to be a great user knife. And I love the deep pocket carry clip. So yeah, definitely it's going to be a recommended budget knife for sure. So that's my thoughts on this knife. Hey, you guys have any questions about this review or this impression? Please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. I would love to hear if you disagree or if you agree, if there's some thoughts or questions you had about the knife or, about this review or any future reviews. Please let me know. If you have a great idea for Rob's ramblings, I would love to hear from you and I would appreciate that. So there you go. Yeah, great knife, great knife. Definitely going to be recommended. So, hey, if you enjoyed this content, you found it fun, interesting, worthwhile, entertaining, or informative, would you please consider liking the video down below? And if you've already liked the video, would you consider hitting the subscribe button? Subscribing and liking the videos really helps out the channel, allows me to produce more content, do more things, and allows the channel to grow, and I very much appreciate that. Thank you. And if you've done all that, maybe check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.